Yo, what's going on everybody? It's your boy Synsei Inc. and today I am back with another One Piece video. Now, as you all know, a couple days ago I put out a video titled Everyone That Zoro May Fight Before Mihawk. Now, of course, naturally in the comment section a lot of you guys liked that video, but there were a few that were asking for videos like this for other Straw Hats. Maybe one for Luffy, but a lot of people were asking for Sanji. So today I want to talk about Sanji. Now, Sanji doesn't have like an end goal like Mihawk. So instead of that, we're just going to talk about every fight that he potentially could have up until the end of the series. So yes, today this is everyone that Sanji may fight before the end of One Piece. But before we get into the video, guys and gals, I just want to say that I love and appreciate you all. And if you want to give me a like for the video, I'd appreciate that as well. The like goal for this video is going to be 1,000 likes. If we could get there, that would be awesome. Also, if you want more One Piece content like this, make sure you subscribe and turn on those post notifications. Let's get into the video. So right now, currently in Wano, Sanji is fighting Queen. Let's talk about the Queen fight kind of briefly, right? Because I think it's interesting. So the big question is, how is Sanji going to fare against Queen's hybrid? In the last few chapters, we've seen Sanji pretty handedly dealing with Queen, but without the raid suit on. So a lot of people naturally are wondering, well, is Sanji going to have to use the raid suit to defeat Queen? And I'll be honest, I'm not sure. The thing is with Oda, and this is something that he likes to do a lot of times, it seems that he has people seemingly doing well against opponents in different chapters, but when it gets time to like really gravitate around their fight, that's when the opposing person actually starts to do well. A good example of this was how Marco was handling King and Queen, but then after a little bit, he starts to get a little bit winded, a little tired, gasping, and saying things like, you know, it's pretty tough handling 2 billion berry men. So as we can see, it seemed very easy for Marco at first, and I do agree that it was, but after a while, you know, things start to catch up with him. And I think that's due to the high durability of ancient Zoans, which will play a lot into this fight with Sanji. Because as we've seen in the Sanji and Page 1 fight, it's tough to make these guys stay down. We've seen Sanji do that awesome attack against Page 1 and he got right back up. And this isn't because Sanji's weak, this is because the ancient Zoan's durability is so high, and it has been stated in source material already. With that being said, I do think that Sanji is going to be too fast and too good at combat for Queen, but I think the problem is going to be when Queen's durability outlasts the stamina of Sanji. That's when Sanji's going to have to even the playing field, and that is when I think he'll utilize the raid suit. Does this mean that Queen is more powerful than Sanji without the raid suit? I don't think it means that he's more powerful than him, but I think his ancient Zoan durability is going to outlast the stamina of Sanji, which would kind of make it a battle of attrition in a way. So now that we got the Queen fight out of the way, I want to talk about some of the other matchups I think that he could have. One in particular was against the leader of the CP0. So a lot of people kind of get upset when you bring up Sanji beating Queen and then fighting the CP0 leader as well in the same arc. They think that that's too much. But when you look at and correlate it to what other Straw Hats are doing like Luffy and Zoro, I think that it's not. Sanji's always been one to be in like main combat. He seemingly fights the third strongest most of the time. But we've seen Zoro, you know, block a sovereignty attack with the help of Law and then scar Kaido. Luffy is probably going to defeat Kaido or be the main one doing most of the damage in that fight. So Sanji fighting Queen and then fighting a CP0 leader instead of being involved in the Kaido fight, I think it's fine. Now, he's not going to have all three. I don't think he's going to beat Queen, be involved in the Kaido fight, and beat the CP0 leader, but it'll probably be one or the other. Either he's going to be involved in the Kaido fight if it's a Straw Hat thing, or he'll fight a CP0 leader, and I think that that's awesome. I bring up the CP0 leader because of a comment that one of the anime editors made about there being maybe another final villain after Kaido. To me, because they're already there in Wano, it makes the most sense that the CP0 or this world government is going to be the true villain if it isn't Kaido. And because of that, I think it would be awesome to see Sanji be involved in that and fight the leader, especially since they're like a covert op team that is like the shield of the world government. I think it would be awesome to see a stealth master like Sanji be involved in that fight. I could totally see this happening. Now, the next two on the list are going straight into the Blackbeard Pirates. Now, one is a little obvious, and that is Shiryu. The other, it's a little out there, and we'll get to that soon. But the Shiryu fight with Sanji I think is interesting. A lot of people want Shiryu to fight Zoro just due to the fact Shiryu may be the second strongest and he has a sword, but there's actual ties between Shiryu and Sanji. Shiryu having Absalon's devil fruits, being able to turn invisible, having the fruit that Sanji always wanted, and then having a contest of strength against the person that wanted that fruit but also can turn invisible because of the raid suit. I think it's awesome, right? Imagine having a fight where it's two stealthy people having to rely on maybe some observation hockey to combat each other, and having this all-out battle where it's like feet versus sword. It'll be interesting, especially since a lot of people like to ask this question a lot. How would Sanji fare against Zoro? Now, in my opinion, and most people's opinion, Zoro is stronger, but it would be cool to see Sanji fight a swordsman, right? Because we're never going to get Sanji versus Zoro in a fight. That's just never going to happen. But maybe we could see like a little small glimpse or like a small percentage of what it would be like for Sanji to fight someone that is even at a relative or like fraction of the level of Zoro and is also a swordsman. I think it would be cool to see. The obvious ties between Absalon's fruit and the raid suit's invisibility, the obvious ties of Sanji actually just wanting Absalon's fruit, make this fight super interesting to me, and I'm definitely excited to see if that's going to be the case. The next person on Blackbeard's pirate crew that Sanji may fight, if it's not Shiryu, is Lafitte. So let me explain the whole Lafitte thing. So a couple things. I read about Lafitte, and it seems to me that Lafitte is a very gentleman-like person. He shows a lot of chivalry, even though he's cold-hearted. He's shown to have this like grimace smile on his face when he shoots at Whitebeard, but even when he's talking to Avalo Pizarro, he's still very much a gentleman, even though he's very stone cold and has like a kind of death stare, death glare about him. The conversation between them was very cold and chilling, but he's a chivalrous guy, which reminds me of Sanji in a lot of ways. Now, I know there's a whole debacle and controversy over Sanji and his whole ideology when it comes to not hitting women. He's a chivalrous guy, but then some people will speak against that because of some of the perverted things that he seems to do. But you guys have to understand that that's just Japanese culture. They think that stuff is funny, right? So they make those jokes and they put those gags in with Sanji. I'm not saying that it's okay. That's up to you guys. This isn't a moral dilemma video. I'm not getting into those politics. But my point is that the whole thing with him being a gentleman and him being chivalrous isn't like synonymous with the gags. You should separate them because that is literally just Oda putting in comedy for Japanese fans. Also, another interesting thing about Lafitte, his devil fruit allows him to fly and Sanji can skywalk. So it will be awesome to see a fight where Sanji has to skywalk and also fight Lafitte because Lafitte is in the sky. The fighting styles seem interesting. Lafitte, you get it? Like Lafitte's and Sanji's kicks. So I think it would be like an awesome kick battle, especially if it's airborne. I think that would be so crazy. And just the whole thing with them both being like gentlemen, like people, I could see it being like, you remember when Sanji and Bon Clay fought? It could kind of be similar to that, right? Except for it to be in the air this time, and it'll be, you know, at a much more higher power scale level. So the next person on the list is Lucky Roo. Now this one is a little of a wild card, right? But I was thinking about the main four of Shanks' crew and the main four of like Luffy's crew that could go like hand in hand. So I was thinking about, you know, Shanks, Luffy, Ben Beckman, Zoro, Usopp, of course. And then I was like, well, what about Lucky Roo? Now in my mind, I'm like, maybe Jinbei, but I'm like, no, that would be so cool to see Lucky Roo versus Sanji. This one, I don't have a lot of reason for, right? It's mostly because the numbers just add up this way, but Lucky Roo seems very agile for a big guy, so I would love to see maybe if he's a fast big dude and he's fighting Sanji. I think it would be cool. I'm not going to dwell on this one too much. This is kind of just a fan pick for me, but the other two that I have kind of have some ties, right? So the next one is Kizaru, right? So Kizaru is very interesting. I brought up Kizaru in the Zoro video, but no, I don't think Kizaru is Zoro's match. I think Kizaru is Sanji's match. However, you may be asking why. I think it would be a perfect matchup, right? You have Sanji in his kind of cynical way when it comes to men, but you also have Kizaru's like lax nature. That is a definite style clash. Like their two personalities are going to clash completely, which would make for some good comedy. But the main thing is the light speed battle. How epic You have the raid suit, which is said to be light speed in the anime. Kizaru made of light and saying to Hawkins, have you ever been kicked at the speed of light? How awesome would it be to see two light speed individuals? And this is by anime means, by the way. This is not by any type of science, because being light speed would literally break everything. So of course this is just anime light speed, right? Put that in quotations. But still, my point stands. Having a Kizaru versus Sanji would be so cool, especially since we've seen Kizaru use kicks. Now, Kizaru has the light sword. He used it against Rayleigh, which I thought was cool, but I think he just used the light sword mainly for the Rayleigh bout. I think that he mainly is going to use laser beams and the kicks, especially if he's like, have you been kicked at the speed of light? Imagine if he says that to Sanji or does something similar to what he did to Hawkins, and he goes to kick Sanji, and then Sanji blocks it with his Diable Jambe or something like that. And he's like, have you ever been blocked at the speed of light? Like, that would be crazy, right? I know this is completely made up, but how epic would that be to see? And last but not least, this is an interesting one that me and my brother were talking about, and it's Green Bull. So when Green Bull gets introduced, he says that it would be nice for a young lady to feed him. Also, he is so lazy that he doesn't eat. How perfect would the Sanji matchup be? The person that thrives in cooking and wants to be a chef versus someone who will not eat, and the person who is literally the glorified simp. I hate using that word for Sanji, but hey, that's just what it is. Of One Piece, the one that loves women versus the guy that is talking about having young ladies feeding him. Oh my God, this is literally the matchup of a century, right? To me, this is perfect when it comes to personality and styles. I have not seen Green Bull, none of us have, but I can only imagine the way he seemed is that he's a very suave individual, especially with his comment about the young lady. So I would love to see Sanji versus Green Bull. I think that would be an awesome fight, just on a thematic level. The comedy and the action that could come out of that fight is like infinite to me. But of course, guys, these are just my matchups for Sanji up until the end of the series, the end of One Piece. But I want to know all of yours, so make sure you comment down below. Let me know if I missed any that you think are obvious, or if you had any cool ones that you wanted to throw out there. Also, my Discord link is down there as well. Make sure you click that and join the Synsei Grand Fleet server. As always, I hope you all are staying safe and healthy during these trying times. This has been Synsei Inc., and I will see you all in the next video.